The Amish lifestyle is one of simplicity and tradition, one that rejects most modern technologies and conveniences like cars or the internet. Oh my god, they don't have fucking internet? Why hasn't anybody made a horror movie about this? Oh, wait a minute, looks like somebody did, kind of. The Harvesting, the 2015 self-proclaimed horror thriller, which was directed by Kraljevic, whose other noteworthy credentials are two short movies called Shadows and Paper, a TV series called I Know My Kid's a Star where he's credited as himself for 8 episodes, and the video documentary about the making of some Kevin Smith movie. The writer of the movie is a man by the name of Ben Everhart, who is also credited for a short movie called I Living and a TV series called Personal Space. Space, get it, because it's set on a spaceship. Among the more noteworthy cast members are Elena Caruso of Cloverfield fame, she also was in Paper as well as Shadows by the way, and Chris Connor, who the more TV savvy amongst you may know from Grey's Anatomy and Bones, or from one of those Rob Zombie Halloween movies. Otherwise, The Harvesting's IMDB page is quite unremarkable, with the movie being rated at a shameful 3.7 and the only trivia on the page being that it was filmed in Amish County, Lancaster. The IMDB plot summary of the movie reads the following, by the way. To escape their marital problems, a young family travels from the city to spend the summer in Amish County, where malevolent presence grips them. They soon discover that they were brought there for a reason, and they must break free before the demonic hold consumes them. Does all of this sound interesting to you? Well, tough luck, mate, because the movie sure as hell isn't. This fact, however, we were not aware of when we found the movie at a bargain bin and decided to make a video out of it. So, if you're one of those weird people who only hang around on YouTube to watch two random stoners react to atrocious Amishsploitation horror, this is the video for you. Probably the only one. So, with the premise of the video established, I am the artist mostly referred to as Holder539, and this is the Cabinet of the Strange and Macabre. Welcome to The Harvesting.
Attention, this is an announcement from the New World Order. Please remain calm and stay seated while we are injecting subliminal messages. Welcome to the Cabinet of the Strange and Macabre.
Today we will be reviewing The Harvesting. The Harvesting. Why isn't it called The Harvest? I don't really know, but it's a weird movie.
Isn't there another movie called The Harvest?
Yeah, that might be it, actually. I think I'm going to Google this after we're done here, but yeah, that's a pretty good theory. Well, actually, I Googled it, and he was right. There's a 1992 movie, The Harvest. Then there's a 2006 short movie, The Harvest. The 2008 musical drama simply titled Harvest. Then there's the 2011 German romance drama Stadt, Land, Fluss, in English inappropriately titled Harvest. Then there's a 2013 horror drama The Harvest, a 2015 documentary also titled The Harvest, and last but not least, the 2017 horror movie called The Harvest. Anyways, moving on. So yes, The Harvesting is a movie, the plot of which is pretty hard to summarize actually. We got like 4 pages, none of which I can read because of those fucking skull sunglasses. They are cool, but they mess up my routine, so yeah.
We could perhaps discuss why this movie could be called The Harvest, because I genuinely don't know.
Okay, I think to do so we should actually start with summarizing the plot. This will be pretty fucking hard, I think. So, yeah, what happened?
Do you remember the names of the main characters? I just remember the name of the kids.
Okay, I think the kids were called Steve, and I don't really know what the second kid was called.
I think the father was called Jacob, right?
Yeah, I think so. Actually, IMDb seems to list 2 different actors for Jacob and Jake, so I don't know. Because the old Lincoln guy, yeah, there's an old guy like, he looks like Lincoln, like all Amish people kind of do in this movie at least. I don't know any real Amish people, so...
Is that politically correct to say that? that all Amish people look like Abraham Lincoln.
Might be that we are going to be flagged by some Amish SJWs, but how should they find it? They don't have any internet. So yeah, the movie starts with an Amish guy, the name of which I've written down somewhere around here, but you don't get to hear it until like halfway into the movie, so let's just call him Amish ex-murderer guy, because in the beginning of the movie he grabs an axe and then goes murdering some people. I think it's his family, part of which somehow are still alive later.
Yeah, he's not murdering the...
His brother, I think.
His brother and his sister? I don't know. The girl he
Sister,
grabbed
cousin,
by his
I don't know. The fact that we didn't know this character's name wasn't like one might think due to us being cretins, but because she simply doesn't have a name. We could just call her Hannah Close for all I care, because her character in the movie literally doesn't have a bloody name besides Amish girl. I think she doesn't actually have a name, so...
But this actually happened before the
yeah, I think so. That's the weird thing. The movie has a lot of quick cuts and kind of awkward cuts, because right after the murder scene, ex-guy runs into the field, followed by his brother and let's assume sister, and then he says something I have written down here, but I can't actually find it. He says something, and then he gets run over by a car out of bloody nowhere.
The CGI truck.
Yeah, and CGI blood, and it's pretty hilarious actually.
All his brother, I'm not sure if it was his brother, was like... Shit!
And then cut to a psychiatrist doing some family therapy with our main protagonists, some couple having marital issues. That's, by the way, that's a Jake guy, not the Amish guys called Jake. I don't really know what any of the Amish guys...
It was because he cheated on her, right?
Yeah, or she cheated.
We find out later in the movie.
Yes, that's the whole thing later, because right in the start we only know they have troubles, and it's a halfway point in their relationship, and now it's going to be the decision, and the decision is going to be they are going to move out to the country, to a creepy old cabin type of house, and there's where all the creepy stuff starts. And of course the son, Steven I think, he's not amused by this, because Amish people don't have any internet. Yeah, but they get there, and the house is pretty creepy, and there's a group of townsfolk from the Amish village standing around in their Sunday clothes and just staring at them. That's pretty weird, but the Amish guys do a lot of weird stuff in this movie. Mostly standing around and staring at people, or just laughing crazily, or saying...
And not waving back.
Yeah, that's pretty rude of them.
Yeah.
And then the whole saying ominous stuff situation with them. I mean, I actually didn't make that many notes about the beginning of the movie. Maybe because I was that bamboozled by everything going on. But the dad does a lot of gardening. First day they are there, he takes his breakfast outside and just starts gardening. He has a hoe and he's raking the ground.
Maybe he was planning to harvest something, and that is why the movie is called The Harvesting.
Yeah, maybe that's it. But he never actually
Probably
plants
not.
anything. And he chops a lot of wood, which he never puts into an oven or something. I don't actually think they have a fireplace in the house, but he's chopping a lot of wood. Then there's this really long, weird scene where the dad stops raking the ground and goes into the shed, and then he finds an axe. It's not the same axe as ex-guy from the beginning used, but the dad takes it and looks at it for a long time, and then he puts it back and continues raking the ground with his rake thingy, and nothing much else happens after that. But then there's a big panning shot of a lake, and the lake looks like a triangle.
Yeah.
Illuminati symbolism
Yeah.
exposed. But yeah, that's actually the point where I first written down the name of the child. This is like half an hour into the movie, and that's where I finally understood that he was called Steven. And yeah, that's one issue of this movie, is the sound editing is kind of dubious at times.
Music is quite loud, but you can't really hear what the people are saying.
Yeah, we actually had to pause a lot of times and just...
Like, what did he say?
Now I'll have to find something else to make fun of, but yeah, I found something in my notes. The scene with a guy just sneaking through the house with the axe.
Yeah.
There's a really long scene. It's a continuous shot over 3 minutes. And
It was kind of pointless because nothing happened in the end. He just was hidden behind the door and then, whoa, yay.
Yeah, it was the ex-guy who was sneaking through the house. The mom, she's meditating a lot in the movie, and she's sitting around in the living room going...
And then he sneaks behind her and walks from room to room.
Yeah, I think then he starts creepily hovering over the kids, and then there's a scene where the son goes, "Mom!" She gets up, runs into the room, and you think there's no one there. She looks around, no one there anywhere. The kid's kind of freaking out, and she's going like typical horror film mom. "Oh, it was all a dream. Go to sleep again." She leaves the room, goes on meditating, and then she closes the door, and behind this, it's just the guy with an axe standing there. He's like, he literally hid behind the door. And she didn't notice a grown man with an axe standing behind there, and the viewer didn't either.
Yeah, but he was there.
And another thing...
He was there to do nothing. Just
Pretty much,
creepily
yeah.
staring at the kids.
And I think he was there to establish that their house had like a number of pointless rooms with pinkish lights. I think there were like 3 bedrooms, all with their own little individual pink night lights. And in the beginning of the movie, when everything seems to be okay between the family members, everything's very bright and pinkishly lit. But then later, when the whole psycho thing starts to get in motion, everything goes dark and gloomy.
Yeah. So, we could ask this question: what did you like most about the movie?
I think it actually was the color coding. I think I actually figured out who the actual big evil in the woods, because that's a thing we should maybe get to before discussing the rest. There's a big evil in the woods, and it's never explained later, but it's just the old man going, "Oh, there's an evil in the woods, and oh, it's God's will that we stay here and keep this land at bay to protect this woods from getting out of here and wreaking havoc over America." So it would maybe have all led to an Isengard-like scenario with the woods attacking, but I don't think so. But yeah, I think the actual villain of the movie is like the lighting guy, because through the whole movie there's this theme of weird lighting effects, where it begins with this whole bright setting with the pink colors and the almost like clean white modern looking house, even if it's supposed to be some long abandoned country cabin they just moved into. Everything's perfectly lit, but then as the creepy shit starts to go down, it's just going dark, and there's this bluish gloom hanging over everything for the rest of the movie. I think the best thing about the movie definitely was the lighting and the color palette and those long panning shots.
Yeah.
And how about you? What did you like?
I really
best?
like this. I don't know what it is that in the woods, and I really like I like the family and the actors really. I really like the actors of the main characters, because this relationship and both of them struggling with their problems. I think it wasn't played bad. It was alright.
Yeah, the actors were pretty good, I think. I mean, for like a low budget, I think it was low budget actually, because we didn't look this up on IMDB earlier, but for a movie that I got for like $10 at the bargain bin, I think that it was pretty solid, technically as well as acting-wise. Just the plot didn't make a lick of sense.
Actually, there are some moments where I actually kind of felt bad for the husband or Jacob. I think where he found out that his wife cheated on him, and
Yeah, kind
it
of.
was really sad. I
He
think.
was like this normal, likable family guy when he was frolicking around with his kids and playing with the horses, and then he had to go through the typical horror film broken relationship arc where, yes, his wife cheated on him and he finds out later and he gets a bit psycho over it. And for a moment it looks like he's going to choke her, but he doesn't and just goes for the lips and does like... And then the scene ends, like many scenes in this film do. But yeah, maybe a thing that we should explain is we were kind of summarizing the plot earlier and then abandoned it. Yeah, because there's actually ghosts in this movie. We didn't really mention the ghosts, but yeah, there's this Amish guy with an axe who's sneaking through the house, where it's left kind of ambiguous in the beginning if he's a ghost or not. Yes, he's a bloody ghost. What else could he be? And yeah, then this thing seems to be like this one crazy lady with like the thick folder of police files. Tell the main characters later in the movie the ghosts of the people who committed murder or suicide in and around the forest are trapped there or something. And that's why X guy is there, because earlier in the movie we saw the girl Amish character without a name sitting by his graveside, and then her brother walked by with a knife, and then the camera turned to a fence and there was a snake, just a snake coiled around the fence.
Yeah.
Symbolism. Yeah, so there was a thing with the ghosts and it didn't really go anywhere, but then Solstice was coming and there was a fire and all the ghosts were
It's a
standing
horror
around.
movie, it needs ghosts. When it doesn't show any blood or gore, it at least has to have ghosts.
Yeah, but I was kind of hoping for an ex murderer. That's the thing, because I mean they started teasering it through the whole movie. The opening kill was with like implied ex gore, and then the car thingy, and then the dad had this weird obsession with looking at exes. I mean, it's like a Chekhov's rifle thingy, because the dad was staring at an ex for the entire movie. So if your character is staring at an ex for like 10 minutes of the running time of your movie, then he better well like kill somebody with his ex, or at least chop some wood. I mean, he
But
did
he
that.
didn't.
He did, at least he chopped wood, and
Yeah, and the blood somehow started to bleed, so...
Yeah,
He cut
that was the thing.
He was chucking the wood, and then suddenly there was blood on his axe.
Oh yeah, there's another thing that we kind of need to address, I think, where there's a bottle of some unnamed gas present in the house. The mom finds it for a moment and puts it away in a box, I think. And then later, in a scene that again completely comes out of left field, the son finds it, immediately puts the mask thingy to his mouth, and starts to get high on fumes. And then he sees a lot of crazy shit with the Amish ghost guy.
And he sees the ghost. Well, at this point I was wondering if his ghost is just a vision, or if a guy is really there in front of him. That was interesting.
Yeah, it would have been pretty interesting twist if it turned out that it's just this gas in the bottle all the time, and everybody who comes to this house and goes on a murdering spree later is just a horrible junkie who will sniff anything they find.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but
what happens next?
okay, I think we long have abandoned chronological order. I mean, it's pretty hard with this movie, with all the flashbacks and side plots that lead nowhere. Another thing we need to address in this is that at some point in the movie, the kids out of nowhere are starting to get stalked by some ghost kids.
Yeah.
Never explained really, I think. It might be the kids of the one guy who went berserk with the shotgun.
That could be.
But yeah,
But then again, why should they follow the other kids?
yeah, I really don't know.
It's what ghost kids do these days.
Yeah, and then there's this whole red herring subplot thingy where it looks like because the son kind of said something like, "Oh, mommy, please don't leave daddy," the dad will go and kill the mom, and there's this really couple of tense scenes between them where they are sitting at dinner and the dad is like, "Nobody leaves the table!" And everybody starts to leave the table, and then he's yelling some more, and it's a typical thing where you think he's going to slap somebody, but he doesn't slap anybody, and then the kids run off with the ghost kids in the night.
Before, there was the scene where we're sitting at the dinner table where the daughter looked like she was suffocating, but she then it turned out that it looked like she was possessed by a demon, and her eyes turned white, and she stopped breathing.
Oh yeah, that was fucking stupid. So yeah, that happened. And one thing I wanted to say about that later is at that point in the movie, I think did the daughter already go into the woods?
I think they were playing in the woods.
Okay, maybe
But
it was
then-
that.
But then their mother took them home, so...
Yeah, because the really stupid thing is all the Amish folks are acting like the evil shit can only get you if you are in the woods, but then the daughter starts this whole demon thing at the dinner table out of nowhere without any woods being present in the house. And I mean, the Amish ghost guy just can walk through their place, but... no one else in the village seems to be plagued by random ghost encounters, or at least we don't see it, because why the hell would this movie start to show us stuff? I mean, stuff that's relevant, actually. I don't know, when we were going into this, I kind of thought I like this movie, but now talking about it, it's kind of starting to piss me off.
What I find interesting about this movie, it's not that the movie doesn't make sense. It's or that there are logical flaws, but what bothers you is that you don't understand why. What about the end? Why? What is this about? Why am I watching this?
Yeah, it's all pretty random, and you think there are a few points in the movie where you think you have figured out what's going on, and there's a baseline plot with the ghosts and the whole typical, oh, there's some kind of haunted location, and if you die there, you're caught. And actually, that's pretty much what the 5th season of American Horror Story did, I think. But only throwing in some vampires and stuff. But yeah, actually, that's the thing. And
So, do you think the red fire at the end has something to do with God? Because something this Abraham Lincoln Amish guy always said was, we must fulfill God's will. So.
oh yeah, the whole religious thing. Yeah, as we earlier mentioned with the snake. There's this whole weird religious undertone in the movie. I mean, it's about Amish people, so there has to be some mention of God. But there's characters constantly spouting out expository dialogue like, oh, it's God's will, and oh yeah, there's this whole conversation where the mom goes, the boy is troubled, and the father goes, oh yes, indeed, he is, and then, but it's God's will, and then there's several people going, solstice is coming. That's a phrase that's repeated multiple times.
Like, that's something they took from Game of Thrones. Winter's coming.
Yeah, but I think they just... I'll have to look up if this movie actually was there before Game of Thrones, because then this would be conspicuous.
So what did you dislike most about the movie?
I really think it's just the confusing structure, because normally, I mean, we are figuring out the whole formatting of this whole thing here at the moment, and this is actually the first time we are doing this with this setup and or at all. But yeah, so normally when I'm talking about a movie, I think I at least, even with cameras and microphone and all this shit, at least have some bearing at what's going on and can summarize the plot pretty accurately after this, but as it might have gotten pretty apparent, in this case I have no idea what was going on beyond this whole baseline plot I just summarized a minute ago.
And we both started to laugh when the movie was over because we didn't expect it to end there at this point.
Oh yeah, the final shot of the movie. So there's this whole scene with the dad and the sparks going through the air and all this Disney magic with some
And
ghosts
they're all
thrown in.
walking towards the fire. But
Yes.
did we actually walk into the fire, or did they stopped before?
I don't really know, because then the fire just is reflected in the eye of the dad, and then it cuts to the mom ushering the kids into the car, and they just take off. No one seems to be stopping them. Just the ex-guy. He's slowly walking behind the car, and then the really ultimate final shot of the movie just is the ex-guy standing there, being reflected in the rear view mirror of the car, and he's just standing at the edge of the bridge menacingly with his ex, and it's just like one last final ex-murderer thingy without anyone actually being murdered with an ex on screen, but exes being present over half of the running time of the movie. I think that's the thing that's pissing me off the most. At this point, I'm afraid that there will have to be another short editorial intermission from my side, because there are actually two things in this movie which piss me off way more than what I mentioned before. And those things are actually kind of relevant to the plot, I guess, and we glanced over them pretty quickly, so yeah, let's get into that. The first one is kind of a blink and you'll miss it moment. And yes, we were laughing so hard about the final scene with the ex-guy walking onto the bridge that we missed it. Instead of pulling the old horror film twist where it looks like the killer is dead and then he jumps out from somewhere off camera in the last moment, this movie put the ghost-themed variant of that, where it looks like the ghost can follow you for some arbitrary reason, but then turns out it can in the last moment. What a twist! In this case, it looks like Amish ex-guy is for some reason not able to cross over the edge of the bridge, but then the actual last shot of the movie shows his feet crossing the edge of the bridge. And if this massive fuck you to the whole "the ghosts can only remain in the forest" continuity isn't dumb enough for you, the second ingenious twist we missed by not looking at the screen for about 30 seconds was the big, completely pointless reveal that the father character, Jacob, was actually one of the sons of old Amish Lincoln guy and was sent away from the village as a kid, presumably after his brother went berserk with an axe and murdered somebody, I don't know whom actually. Even after watching the beginning of the movie for about 3 more times to figure out if I can see Jacob anywhere. Spoilers, I can't. There's a character named Ezekiel though. Anyhow, enjoy the rest of the review.
Yeah, you really wanted to see someone being murdered with an axe.
Yes, with this setup, yes. I mean, I'm a pacifist, but if you show an axe that often, I think this would have been considered necessary violence.
When you're making a horror movie.
Oh yeah, I mean,
this wasn't really a horror movie, but was a thriller.
Yes. You could say that, or but a thriller. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, drink something. Uncut. What possibly could you cut out of from this movie, because it's written very
We're just going on while I'm drinking. Come on, that's pretty. I mean, we could do that, but then it kind of looks like just product placement for Club Mate.
Okay.
We're not
and
sponsored.
I'm doing it again.
We could put this into the blooper reel, or just leave it in and let the people watch me drink.
I don't care.
Are you clicking away yet? Moving on.
Okay, so why is it uncut? What possibly could you cut out from a movie which could be considered to be inappropriate, too much blood? There was nothing. I could show this.
Maybe this one random thing where the dad, the other dead guy, the dead, so the dead who is not among the living anymore, with a shotgun, the bloke.
Yeah, he shot. Yeah.
Yeah, there was his family all walked up to him in his hallucinations where he was going high on fumes and.
However, he managed to shot 3 shots in a row with a double-barrel shotgun.
Yes, that was stupid.
Without reloading.
I was thinking, was this supposed to be like a clue that it's a dream sequence? Because it's revealed to be a hallucination by the kids. So yeah, that was weird, but
There we were shown blood, but
yes,
nowhere else.
And at least they had the balls to shoot 2 kids on screen, I think, total kid body count, with this one vision.
Where was this little plastic doll floating or swimming in the air?
Oh yeah, there was weird doll symbolism at one point with a crazy lady. There was a crazy lady who was in the beginning of the movie when the mother and the kids were walking through the forest for the first time. She was just hanging around at a river, a little stream, and just doing laundry with one of those old-timey laundry boards. And laughing crazily and yelling at them crazy shit. And that they should leave the woods because everybody wants them to leave the woods in this movie.
They don't want them in the woods.
And then the crazy lady returns later, like 2 or 3 days later in the continuity of the movie. And she's still at the same stream and she's still doing laundry. I think actually the same piece of laundry, if I'm not mistaken. But now there's a baby doll swimming upside down in the water. And it's...
And the family somehow didn't see the little baby doll in the water.
Right, the mother just she stood before that and went to look at her reflection in the water, and there's the doll about here where I'm holding my skull sunglass thingies, and she looks right at it, and she doesn't react in any way, and now I'm holding those and don't really know what to do with them. Awkward. Yeah. Anyway, stupid scene. Stupid scene that didn't really lead anywhere except to establish that this lady was crazy because she returns one more time. In the big fire scene, she's there for 10 seconds and springs into frame from the left and goes...
There's a lot of setup but little payoff to what we have seen, so...
Yes, I mean, I think how I'm going to do this in editing, I'm going to show some of the frames from the movie and let them pop over us from time to time, and you'll see this crazy laughing lady a lot of times and a lot of random shit that you'll think doesn't make any sense because it's just still frames, because I don't want to work with clips from the movie because the MCAs and stuff, but it's not that, it's not the editing, it's not our editing at least, it's fully their editing. I mean, look at
I really like the editing of a movie was not that bad actually. There was, like you said, there was continuous shots.
Oh yes, it was artful but confusing. I mean, as I said, the whole lighting thing with the bright lighting that continued to get dark over the whole thing and fit the mood of the scenes quite well. That was awesome, and the long continuous shots of the kids playing and the Amish guy walking around. They were pretty awesome too. But I mean, sometimes it was just random innate things. Shot very beautifully. I mean, it's art alright, but
even though this movie had some more artistic camera shots, I think we can't really derive some deeper metaphorical meaning from this movie. Or at least I can't. It wasn't like the end of 2001, Space Odyssey, where we're like, whoa, I don't get it, but it was awesome anyway. It was like, I don't get it, and I don't like that I don't get it.
Yeah, here it was just pretty, I don't get it, what the fuck, I've just wasted 1.5 hours of my life, but I've seen some pretty artsy shit, so let's make a video out of it. That was actually our train of thought behind making this, and yeah, I think it worked out.
So, as far as I understand it, there is a bad ghost in the wood, but maybe God's will, and he somehow is able to drive people crazy.
Yes.
And that's it.
I think the goal of the thing in the woods is to get the people into the woods because it knows that the ghosts are trapped there. And one thing I thought for a moment, but they never built up on it or explained it any further, was when they showed this black snake for a moment. I thought that it would turn out that it's Satan collecting souls through the forest and that there's a portal to hell or something. But no, that wouldn't make... I mean, that wouldn't make any sense in the greater context, but it would make too much sense for this movie, if you get me. So, what are your final thoughts on this here motion picture?
What I found interesting was the parallel, but there was another family living in this house before, and there was the scene where the Amish lady told the family about the husband that shot his family, and and so like it will happen to them in the same way. And I thought to myself, yeah, that would be really cool if he starts killing his family, but he didn't.
Yeah, that's partially why I thought that it was leading up to this, but it kind of wasn't.
Yeah, that would, because the whole topic of the movie is this family conflict, and in the end they just drive away. And I think there would some scene where some final encounter of both of the family and the father would be very interesting, but they just leave.
Yeah, I mean, the father looks at them ominously for a moment and goes like, and I think, did he kill the old Amish guy? Or did the old Amish guy just perish by himself, like,
I don't know,
in the father character's arms?
I think he just faints. I don't know.
Okay, that might be it too. I don't know. And then the mother just drags the kids away, but it's kind of off screen because they are leaving and the ghost kids are there and they're going like, stay with us! And the mother's like, oh no, fuck this, and pulling the kids, and then fade to black, the dad looking at the fire reflecting in his eyes. As I said, fade to black again, they in the car, they on the bridge, Amish guy with an X. La commedia è finita.
Mm-hmm. Even though they always told them to not go into the woods, I think it wouldn't have made any difference if they really stayed at home. So
yeah, maybe they just would have went homicidal in this little city apartment. Oh fuck, we have to cut this again, I think. Or we just...
I don't care.
A lot of conversations about cutting, and maybe I should just leave all those conversations about cutting in, but just put them at some other points in the video so that our review of this movie doesn't make any sense like the movie, and thereby it's meta and it's art in itself. Or
yeah,
maybe I shouldn't do this, because then nobody will watch later movie reviews. Probably. Maybe I'll just make a remix and it's all black and white and played backwards and nice throw at nice maybe remix. Okay, after some technical difficulties, remembering to cut the...
So, what are your final thoughts on this here motion picture?
What about the end? What is this about? Why am I watching this?
I don't get it, what the fuck, I've just wasted 1.5 hours of my life.
I don't get it, and I don't like that I don't get it.
Fuck, we have to cut this again.
Yeah.
Illuminati symbolism
Yeah.
exposed. Fuck, we have to...
We're gonna have dinner as a family tonight.